This is one of the happiest days of my life, and I'm happy for them because they've earned this and deserve it. We've said that from day one. They should do it now. Prosecuting Tyrell Efron. They have him admitting to perjury. They have him committing extortion. The jury saw through it and came to an enormously quick and speedy verdict. My partner, Chad, we're honored to have represented this amazing family. Rocky is one of my closest friends, but he's also just a great, great person. Rihanna, they are Joe.
24 years in prison, gone in an instant. The courtroom went silent, the jury spoke, and ASAP Rocky walked out a free man. How did the case collapse so fast? Was it all built on lies? And did Rihanna's presence turn the tide? Let's break down one of the most shocking legal victories in celebrity history. After months of intense courtroom battles, speculation, and fear of losing everything, ASAP Rocky has officially walked out a free man. The jury didn't buy the prosecution's case, and within no time, they returned with a verdict that sent shockwaves through the courtroom: not guilty. This whole legal mess started when ASAP Relli, a former crew member, accused Rocky of pulling a gun on him and firing twice during an argument in 2021. He claimed he was left with injuries on his hand, but from the start, Rocky denied ever using a real firearm, insisting the only thing he fired was a starter pistol that shoots blanks. But here's where things got sketchy. The entire case had zero solid evidence. The police combed through the scene and found no shell casings, no bullet holes, no blood. Absolutely nothing that proved a shooting ever took place. And then, 2 days later, guess who suddenly showed up with shell casings? Relli himself. He magically found evidence that somehow law enforcement completely missed. That alone raised serious doubts. Then came the security footage. It showed ASAP Rocky and Relli arguing, even getting physical, but at no point did it capture Rocky firing a weapon. And without a gun, without bullets, and without physical evidence, the prosecution bet everything on Relli's testimony. And that's exactly where things collapsed. Rocky's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, ripped Relli's story to shreds. He pointed out that every time Relli retold the incident, his version kept changing. And then came the final nail in the coffin. Forensic experts confirmed that there was no proof linking Rocky to a fired gun. That was game over for the prosecution. The jury barely took any time to deliberate, and when they returned with the verdict, the courtroom fell silent. The moment the judge announced not guilty, Rocky let out a deep sigh of relief. Rihanna, who had been by his side throughout the trial, was beaming with joy. The stress of this case had clearly weighed on her, but now, their family wouldn't be torn apart by a wrongful conviction. The internet exploded with reactions. Fans celebrated, calling out how weak the case was from the start. Many even questioned why prosecutors pushed so aggressively when the evidence simply wasn't there. Just like that, ASAP Rocky is officially a free man. No prison time, no probation, no record, nothing. But let's rewind for a second. At one point, Rocky was just one bad decision away from losing everything. The prosecution offered him a plea deal, 6 months in jail and 3 years probation. Many thought taking it would be the safer option, especially with 24 years on the line. But Rocky chose to fight, and that gamble paid off. Even Rihanna looked visibly stressed at the start of the trial. If things went wrong, she'd be left raising their 2 kids alone. But once it became clear that Rocky was going all in, she showed up in full force, making sure the world knew she had his back. Some believe her presence alone may have played a role in how the jury saw the case. After all, we're talking about Rihanna, one of the most beloved celebrities in the world. If there were any Rihanna fans on that jury, they might have been just a little more inclined to see Rocky in a sympathetic light. But even with Rihanna backing him, there was tension. She avoided attention, slipping out of court through a side exit. No waves, no smiles, just straight to business. One bystander even described her as standing stiffly, eyes darting around as she waited for security. And that's where things get even messier. Because if you thought this trial was just about Rocky and Relli, think again. Azealia Banks, the queen of internet chaos, decided to throw gasoline on the fire, claiming this entire beef had a deeper, more personal cause. And guess who she thinks was at the center of it? Rihanna. According to Azealia, when Rocky and Rihanna first started dating, Rocky was so excited that he introduced her to his Harlem crew, including Relli. And apparently, Relli got a little too friendly with Rihanna, which didn't sit well with Rocky. Some say there was instant tension. Others believe it was the beginning of the fallout that led to this entire legal battle. But Azealia didn't stop there. She went all in. She claimed Rocky's beef with Relli had been brewing for a while, but things spiraled out of control after Rihanna entered the picture. She also threw out wild accusations accusations about Rocky's past, even questioning his Harlem roots, saying he used Relli to build street credibility. And then, she took things to a dark place. She dragged the late ASAP Yams into the drama, claiming Rocky's relationship with Yams wasn't what people thought and that Rocky may have even played a role in Yams' struggles with addiction. She even alleged that after Yams passed, Rocky paid his mother $60,000 to stay quiet about what really happened. Naturally, the internet lost its mind. Some people actually believed Azealia's version of events, while others dismissed it as her just stirring up drama. One person commented, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but Azealia actually sounds like she knows what she's talking about." Another added, "Whenever men fall out, it's usually over money or a woman." But at the end of the day, none of that mattered in court. The jury saw through the weak case, the evidence didn't add up, and ASAP Rocky walked away free. With this nightmare finally behind him, Rocky can now focus on his music, his family, and his future, without the weight of a potential 24-year sentence hanging over his head. But here's the real question. Was Rihanna actually the reason behind this entire mess? Did her presence cause the tension between Rocky and Relli to explode? Or was the media just hyping up the drama for clicks? This trial may be over, but the conversations definitely aren't. What do y'all think? Was this just another case of industry beef going too far? Or was something deeper at play? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you leave, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more updates. After months of tense courtroom drama, speculation, and the looming fear of a 24-year prison sentence, ASAP Rocky has officially walked out a free man. The jury didn't buy the prosecution's weak case, and in record time, they returned with a not guilty verdict that sent shockwaves through the courtroom. This legal nightmare began in 2021 when ASAP Relli, a former crew member, accused Rocky of pulling a gun on him and firing twice during an argument. Relli claimed the bullets injured his hand, but from the very start, Rocky insisted the accusations were completely false. He maintained that the only thing he fired that night was a starter pistol that shoots blanks, not a real gun. But here's where things took a bizarre turn. There was absolutely no solid evidence to back up Relli's claims. Police combed through the crime scene, searching for anything that could prove a shooting took place. They found nothing. No shell casings, no bullet holes, no blood. Absolutely nothing that could tie Rocky to the alleged crime. And then, 2 days later, Relli suddenly found evidence that police had somehow missed. He turned up with shell casings that conveniently appeared out of nowhere, a move that instantly raised suspicion. If law enforcement had already conducted a thorough search, how did Relli just happen to stumble upon crucial evidence days later? The entire situation reeked of something shady. Then came the security footage, which showed Rocky and Relli arguing, even getting physical at one point. But guess what? At no time did the video capture Rocky firing a gun. The prosecution had no firearm, no forensic proof, and no legitimate evidence, yet they still pursued Rocky with everything they had. The case falls apart. Rocky's defense team, led by the relentless Joe Taco Pena, wasted no time tearing the prosecution's weak case to shreds. He called out the glaring inconsistencies in Relli's story, pointing out how his version of events kept changing every time he retold it. But the final nail in the coffin came when forensic experts testified that there was no physical proof Rocky had fired a gun. With no real evidence left to convict him, the jury had no choice but to rule in Rocky's favor. The deliberation was shockingly short, and when the verdict was finally announced, the courtroom went completely silent. The second the judge said not guilty, Rocky let out a deep sigh of relief. Sitting just a few feet away, Rihanna, who had been by his side throughout the entire trial, was visibly emotional, beaming with joy. The weight of this case had clearly been weighing on her, but now, their family was safe from the devastating consequences of a wrongful conviction. The internet reacts. Was this a setup? The moment the news hit the internet, fans erupted in celebration. Many pointed out how weak the case was from the very beginning and questioned why prosecutors had pushed so aggressively despite the lack of evidence. Some even went as far as to say the entire situation felt like a setup, a desperate attempt to bring Rocky down. But let's rewind for a second, because at one point, Rocky was just one decision away from losing everything. Prosecutors had actually offered him a plea deal, 6 months in jail and 3 years of probation. With a potential 24-year sentence hanging over his head, most people would have considered taking the deal. But Rocky refused to back down. He took the risk, knowing that if he lost, he could spend decades behind bars. That gamble paid off, but it could have easily gone the other way. Rihanna's role in the trial. Did she influence the jury? From the very start, Rihanna was fully invested in Rocky's trial. But even though she showed up to support him, she made it clear that this was no publicity stunt. She avoided the cameras, slipped into the courtroom quietly, and even left through side exits to to avoid drawing attention. One bystander even described her as standing stiffly, her eyes darting around as she waited for security to escort her out. But here's where things get really interesting. Some believe Rihanna's presence alone may have played a role in how the jury saw the case. Think about it. Rihanna is one of the most beloved celebrities in the world. If there were any Rihanna fans on that jury, they might have been just a little more inclined to see Rocky in a sympathetic light. After all, it's hard to imagine a man who's about to marry one of the world's most admired women throwing it all away over a senseless argument. Was Rihanna a silent force behind Rocky's acquittal? Or was this trial doomed from the start because of how weak the prosecution's case really was? Azealia Banks drops explosive allegations. Was Rihanna the real cause of the Rocky-Relli feud? Just when the dust was starting to settle, Azealia Banks decided to stir things up in the most chaotic way possible. She claimed that this entire legal battle had deeper roots than anyone realized, and that Rihanna was actually at the center of it all. According to Azealia, when Rocky and Rihanna first started dating, Rocky was so excited that he introduced her to his Harlem crew, including Relli. But apparently, Relli got a little too friendly with Rihanna, and that didn't sit well with Rocky. Some sources claim there was instant tension, while others believe this was the spark that eventually led to their fallout. But Azealia didn't stop there. She took things to a dark place, bringing up the late ASAP Yams, one of Rocky's closest friends and a major figure in the ASAP mob. She claimed that Rocky's relationship with Yams wasn't what people thought, and even accused Rocky of playing a role in Yams' struggles with addiction. She also threw out a wild allegation that after Yams' passing, Rocky paid his mother $60,000 to keep quiet about what really happened. Naturally, the internet went into full meltdown mode. Some people actually believed Azelia's claims, while others dismissed it as her trying to stay relevant. One commenter wrote, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but Azealia actually sounds like she knows what she's talking about." Another added, "Whenever men fall out, it's usually over money or a woman. What happens next?" Regardless of the rumors, the truth remains the same. ASAP Rocky is officially a free man. The jury saw through the weak case, the evidence didn't hold up, and in the end, Rocky walked away without a conviction, without probation, and without jail time. Now, with this nightmare finally behind him, he can focus on his music, his family, and his future. But the bigger questions remain. Was Rihanna actually the reason behind this entire feud? Did her presence in Rocky's life create tension with his old crew? Or was the media just hyping up the drama for clicks? The trial may be over, but the conversations are far from finished. What do you think? Was this just another case of industry beef going too far? Or was something much deeper at play? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more updates on the biggest stories in entertainment.